Okay.
Why, man? Nobody even listens to the full podcast.
No.
Podcast.
Yeah, but if they do, this is like those what's it called? Those Easter eggs.
Easter eggs? It's a whole video. What do you mean Easter egg?
It's a whole video, bro. If you watch the first minute, you're a legend.
I think maybe it makes sense just for us to upload the full podcast like on a different channel. Or just maybe you upload it to those podcast things. What do you
see, we could do that, but that's not legendary.
I know, but they get so little views. I guess so sad.
So guys, what I found out is that when I lead, we usually get upwards of like 1,000 for each video.
Yeah, you said that
And
last
when this guy
time.
leads,
Great
we probably
memes.
get like 40 views or like 100 views.
Great.
We're
memes.
gonna test our hypothesis again today.
Mm.
We're gonna test it again. And we're gonna upload for the rest of the week. We're gonna see who will get more views because this time I'm leading.
Great memes. I don't think people care or know what leading means because you literally just read the title and then
but that one
and then
guy
I talk for the next 20
commented,
minutes.
Though, that like he wants to break his face in when he hears you talk.
You're assuming that it's me. Well,
I'm pretty
how's
sure
it
it's
not
you. I'm pretty sure it's you.
Your voice is disgusting. Like the microphone, you don't even position it properly. You don't even like listen to it. You put it on your desk
I'm
and
using a microphone.
there you go.
Huh?
What?
Who's that using a microphone? I'm
Using a potato.
A webcam microphone. I'm using a potato, bro.
You don't even care.
What a fight yesterday, yeah. What a night.
What are you talking about?
With Michael Chandler versus Hooker. He came there, he made weight, he went home. There was Conor fight, you know. It was a good card last night. I enjoyed it. Did you enjoy it?
It wasn't the best card ever. It
wasn't the
fun.
best card. There's some good fights. If you watch everything, you know. If you weren't a casual and you watch the prelims and everything, then it was good. It was a very good card.
No, but the card wasn't the best card ever. Like it was good. It had moments. It had good fights. I don't know if like how many fights you'll go back and watch later on, other than
you know
like,
what it is,
the
bro.
event.
It's a crowd. It has to be in New York.
Oh my god.
It has to be in Las Vegas. If it's not in New York or Las Vegas, it doesn't do justice.
So there was no card ever since this pandemic that you enjoyed a lot.
No, not really.
So you didn't enjoy Justin Gaethje and Ferguson.
Oh, I love that fight.
You didn't enjoy Khabib and Ferguson and.
But I enjoyed the
Gaethje.
fights.
No, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking
card,
about I'm talking about the what?
The actual card, no. But like the main events, yeah.
Man, you're on one.
I'm on a good one. Okay. Well, speaking of casuals, we're gonna start with Conor versus Dustin Poirier, and the fight that happened yesterday. If you don't know the story,
Wait, what does that have to do with casuals? What do you mean?
Because you're a casual.
You said speaking of casuals, let's talk about Conor and Dustin. What?
Yeah, because if you're casual, this is probably like the first fight you've watched in like 2 years. So
okay, sure.
Speaking of these two guys, you know, cool story.
Yeah.
I was actually watching it at my friend's house, and then
Great.
This guy calls me for like instant reaction. We do instant reaction, he gets 200 views.
Yeah.
But
overnight,
bro, overnight. So sad times, very sad times.
It's okay. It's not that bad.
But the fight was good. I enjoyed it. I thought Conor was gonna take this fight, but Poirier went in there. He attacked that lead leg of Conor with those calf kicks. You know, at one point his foot was a balloon. Now his calf was a balloon. But,
how long did it take you to write that joke?
that was a pretty good joke. Huh?
No, was it? Well, how did your calf go to the size of a balloon?
He actually compared it in the press conference to like a footballer. He's like, "Oh no, my calf is like a footballer now," and he was walking out with a cane. Honestly, like from the rounds that I watched, because I mean it was only 2 rounds, but in the first round it was all Conor. Like aside from that takedown, it was all Conor, and it's sad, man. It's sad. I was very sad. We had so many videos planned to post for Conor, and then this guy goes out there and shits the bed.
Conor videos are just not the same anymore. People just don't have as much interest in them as they used to, and I don't blame them because before he was like this up and coming fighter, and he was on this undefeated streak, and he was calling his shots, and he was doing stuff that you wouldn't normally see in the UFC or in any MMA. Now he's this established veteran who comes and goes as he pleases, gets smoke from everybody. He wants to.
This is the highest trending UFC card of all time. So
I don't know about that. Who told you that?
It was.
Who told you that?
Mr. Uncle.
Okay.
Uncle.
Yeah, Uncle says a lot of things.
Uncle Dana White, bro.
Every fight he tells us that, oh, this is trending worldwide, blah 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 blah. Like, yeah, we understand it's trending worldwide, but
most impressions.
Yeah, again, this is a private company, so they have no obligation to actually release numbers and like pay-per-view stuff. It does.
But he has honor though.
It does get leaked out. But even then, those are not even confirmed, because like how you get, the only people that can verify is the UFC. Before, there was pay-per-view companies that would be the middleman for these cards, but now, since UFC has it behind a paywall for the ESPN Plus, ESPN and UFC basically are the only ones that know like truly what the final numbers are.
Did you hear what happened with the thing with the app with ESPN Plus? It crashed halfway.
Oh no
and these
way!
guys were like, if you're streaming it online, it was better than the actual app.
If you're streaming like illegally.
Yeah, illegal streams.
It's fine.
But let's go back to the actual fight.
But then, how could people watch the fight if wouldn't the streams be streaming ESPN Plus? Or they would use something else, maybe.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think you can also like, I think you can watch off, I think BT Sports, right?
Yeah, international is different, I guess.
Yeah, so they probably streamed off that. But going back to the fight, I gave my analysis. Please talk about your analysis.
What was your analysis? His calf was the size of a football?
First round was all Connor, okay?
Not really.
So I give it 10-9 to Connor. Second round, like even then, like he was landing his strikes. If you look at the strike count, he was landing his strikes. And he had more than Poirier, but Poirier, man, just chopped that leg so much, and then he couldn't walk on it, and then got one tooth, and then dropped.
Okay, so let's go through the fight. Dustin Poirier approached this fight a little bit different than maybe his other fights. He was staying back, and he was letting Connor overreach and play into his game plan. He was very heavy on the idea of calf kicking Connor and making him eat those shots, as many as possible, before he was able to initiate his next phase of his game plan. So Dustin talked about how his coach, Mike Brown, really wanted him to go for the calf kicks. And you saw that he made an effort to go for the calf kicks, especially considering both of them are southpaw. If you think about it, so Connor has his right foot forward, and Dustin has his right foot forward. If Dustin kicks with his left and goes for the calf, especially with the Connor with his like wide base, you're going to hit that a lot of the times that you throw it. One thing that Connor did note was he was trying to check them, but he felt like he wasn't checking it far enough. So he wasn't rotating his foot fully, so that he would instead of having his calf absorb the kick, it was his calf and his shin. So yes, he was checking some of them, but he was not able to negate any of the damage that he was receiving, especially that small of an area, your calf area. It's very susceptible to those strikes. If you get hurt there, it's very hard to recover from them. Say if it was a kick to the thigh or like above the knee, that's a much larger muscle, and it's very, very thick, your thigh compared to your calf. So Connor, instead, he did say, he's like, I was rotating my foot, but I could feel that he was still hitting my muscle, and I needed to turn it even further. He hasn't really experienced this very much before in his other fights. It's very much a new wave in the MMA world, where people are calf kicking each other a lot more, because they're realizing like, okay, this is actually pretty effective. It's a very precise kick though. It's very, very hard to hit, to land it if you don't know how to kick properly, because you have to avoid kicking his shin, and you have to avoid kicking his knee. So it has to be very, very tight, very, very crisp.
But it was weird though, because in the post-fight press conference, Conor said that actually like the front of his shin was hurting. So like his shin was hurting actually.
Yeah. So
on the back of the leg. He
was catching it. Like I said, so like I literally just said this. He was catching. No, you
said the back of his leg.
What do you mean back of his leg?
Like because you're saying his calf, but in the press conference you were saying his shin was hurting more.
No, his calf. He said that his calf was dead. Like it was gone. I'm saying that he was checking the kick, but he wasn't checking it completely on his shin. If he was completely checking it with his shin, he wouldn't have that damage on his calf, because all of it would be absorbed on his shin, which would have been completely fine for him, right? He would have been able to keep fighting and stick with his game plan if he was able to take it all on his shin. But the issue was his calf. Like he even says, like, okay, my calf was dead. I wasn't able to stand anymore. So I'm telling you that Conor was trying to check them, but he was not used to, or he didn't fully understand or know how to check a calf kick against Poirier. So when he was checking him, he would rotate his foot, which is what you typically do for any checking of a kick. But when you're doing a calf kick, especially from a southpaw position, you have to rotate a lot more so that you take the brunt on your shin. So Conor takes all this damage to his calf, and it just limits his movement. His whole game plan revolves around being able to circle around and be a lot more freer. So if you notice, instead of having all that movement, he became very, very stagnant, and he even forced himself to keep his back to the cage. He did that, if you noticed, he did that because he needed something to hold him up, or something to help him from like collapsing or anything like that, as opposed to being like in the middle of the ring. If he was in the middle of the ring, he's more susceptible to even more leg kicks, and
his stance has also changed too. Like, it used to be more bladed.
Yeah.
Now it's more like a boxer style.
Yeah, so he has a much wider base now, and he's not as bouncy as before. Before he would bounce in and out of people's ranges. So if he did that against Dustin, he would have made Dustin missed a lot of his leg kicks, which would have helped him, obviously, but he just kept with that style. He tried to check him, but it just accumulated over time, and he really had no choice but to like stop his movement, or he had limited amount of movement now. And then that's where Dustin excels, where he's very tight.
Is that you can't be flat-footed.
Okay. So, thanks for cutting me off. So Dustin he does best when you're very, very close to him. So when he can throw short hooks, and he can see a lot better for his opponent's movements, and he's just better at fighting at the pocket than most lightweights in the division. Like, Conor has amazing boxing, but he really needs that range. He needs to be able to like dictate the pace. But if for Dustin, once you're in that close where your heads are almost touching each other, like it's over for you. So what was interesting though was Dustin did say that he did get hurt by one of Conor's punches, and I did notice that I forget when it was. I should have watched this fight again, but
first round.
I don't know which one it was, but he got hit with a left hand, and it kind of wobbled him. It wasn't his legs or anything like that. You could see that something that punch kind of affected him. And he said if Conor kept going, he might have lost that fight. So it really does come down to calf kicks. Dustin was really good with his check right hooks from southpaw. He was doing it. He's done it in his other fights, but it looked like he implemented into his game plan too. But it's not just only about landing. We can look at the stats later on, but it's not about landing. It's also deterring other strikes. So he was covering up very, very well, and then he was making Conor initiate offense, as opposed to what Conor likes to do, which is counter. So he would make Conor initiate the offense and then throw check right hooks to prevent Conor from even coming closer, or getting into his flow. So you kind of like stop Conor in his combos, and then eventually the calf kicks and whatnot. So a rematch between them would be very, very interesting. I think the very first thing that Conor needs to address, of course, is the calf kicks. I'm not too worried about the grappling. Conor did very well. He got taken down, immediately went to the fence, because he knows, like, if I go against the fence, Dustin is not Khabib. Like, Dustin is not gonna use the fence to his advantage, or he doesn't have the skill set to compared to Khabib. Rather, Conor was gonna use that to stand back up, and then when you saw him stand back up, Conor was very strong with the grappling, where he was able to even turn Dustin around and put him against
a lot
the
of shoulders too.
Yeah, Dustin actually started that. So Dustin threw them, and then Conor threw them back. I think the Conors looked a little bit more brutal, but they both hit each other with them. I don't think in the second fight, I don't think the grappling should be that overplayed. Dustin got the takedown pretty easily. I don't think Conor necessarily expected it, but Conor did do very, very well. He went to the cage, he got up, he turned him around, and then did his strikes in the clinch. So second fight, it's the biggest thing Conor needs to do is, bring those legs a little bit closer. Don't you have such a wide base? You have such a wide base. It's not a boxing match, right? Even for boxers, like, you don't even have that big of a base either. So I would like to see Conor go back to his featherweight style, where he was a lot more bouncy. Maybe that uses more energy. I don't know, but if he uses that bouncy style and he fights Poirier again, I think that style beats him within 2. Especially considering what Dustin said, he hurt him. If Conor was able to constantly go push forward and land more shots, I think he would have got the finish. But he just kept eating them. He didn't rotate his foot enough to take some damage off his calves, and Dustin goes on to win it. Dustin said he is interested for a rematch, so we'll see when that happens. Right now, it's less than 24 hours since the fight, so
not even.
Yeah, so there's so much that could happen, but I would like to see a second fight. In like April. That'll be good times for everybody.
Dustin Poirier in the post-fight conference said, Michael Chandler doesn't deserve a title shot. It's
that's
pretty
paraphrase.
funny, actually.
That's paraphrase. I don't know what the exact quote is, but yeah.
Yeah, it was a paraphrase. He was saying that basically, since he beat Hooker, so Poirier, he fought Hooker as well, right? And after he beat him, like, he didn't really get like a title shot either. So when the reporter asked him, he responded by saying basically that since I beat that same guy, he doesn't deserve a shot right now, right? I think he said that he had to fight Oliveira maybe, and then a shot was next maybe, I don't know. But there's absolutely no respect for Chandler. Absolutely no respect for Chandler. This guy went in there, starched Hooker, in impressive fashion too. I think
it wasn't that impressive.
I think it was the second round, right? It was second round or first round?
It was first round.
Oh, it's first round. Okay, yeah. Well, he starched this guy, and then he went on top of the cage and did like a sick little backflip. But it was a cool performance by him. What do you think about his quote?
So Dustin and Chandler have like a weird relationship. When Dustin was before Dustin was set to fight Conor, if you remember, there was like contract negotiations, and Dustin wanted to be paid more, right? This is especially after coming off of a fight with Dan Hooker and like fight of the year and all that kind of stuff. And Poirier has been in the UFC for so long. He has 20 plus fights in the UFC, and he's just been doing it for so long, and he's been delivering, and he's made all these main events. So he's deserving of more money. The UFC, however, didn't necessarily weren't on that same boat with him. or what it seemed like their numbers were just a little bit too far apart. During this time, they bring in Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler came in, and it looks like Michael Chandler was paid more than what Dustin was asking for, or what Dustin was getting. So he did note that Dustin did mention something about that. However, it wasn't anything like explicitly talking about like, this guy's making more than me and I demand more money. It was more about like, look at this guy, like he just came into the UFC and he's making more than me. Like how long have I been in the UFC? And like I get nothing compared to Michael Chandler. But regardless, and then it goes on to Michael Chandler being the fill-in fighter for Khabib versus Gaethje. So if Khabib fell out or Justin fell out, Michael Chandler would go in there, and potentially might have made it an interim title, or they made it, if Justin fell out, it would have been a title fight. That's something that like a title fight coming off as a free agent as your first fight kind of didn't sit too well with Dustin, and I don't blame him. I'm not trying to speak for him. This is just the impression that I'm getting from him. So add that to now Mike Chandler comes in and he beats Dan Hooker. Okay, that's very, very good. Dan Hooker is at that time was ranked 6th in the lightweight division. The previous fight to Michael Chandler though was Dustin Poirier, and Dustin Poirier just beat him via decision after 5 rounds. So in Dustin's perspective, why would he get a title shot against me, right? Me, Dustin, if he just beat the guy that I beat previously? Dustin, say hypothetically, the next fight that Dustin has is for the title. Dustin had to beat Hooker and Conor McGregor to get a title shot.
But who's gonna fight for him for a title though? Who's gonna fight him for a title?
So we'll get to that. But so Dustin had to fight Hooker and McGregor to fight for the title, as opposed to Michael Chandler, who just came in and beat Dan Hooker. So
he's 6-1 in his last 7 fights now. He's fought top guys.
Who?
Poirier.
Yeah. So Poirier has deserved that title fight. He's deserved that slot. From the perspective of him regarding Michael Chandler, Michael Chandler came and fought Dan Hooker. However, he doesn't have that buffer that Dustin Poirier has, which is Conor McGregor. So in his mind, he's saying, okay, you beat Dan Hooker, I beat Dan Hooker as well, but that didn't get me a title shot. So why don't you go and you face one more person and then see maybe you can get a title shot from there. Dan Hooker lost. So who's left really? So in the lightweight division, there's Conor, there's Justin Gaethje, and Oliveira, right? Those are essentially the 3 guys left that Michael Chandler can face. So
and then Max Holloway if he moves up.
Yeah, but I really want Max Holloway to move up. I don't know if he's gonna move up, especially after that fight. He probably is itching to face Volkanovski again after all that. What
performance, huh?
So what's next for Michael Chandler? I think they might book Michael Chandler and Justin Gaethje. That'll be fun. And then make Oliveira, Dustin Poirier for the title. That's assuming that Dana White moves forward with like moving on from Khabib. I think there's nothing left. Khabib has talked about, okay, are you like, you saw the fight, like are you really impressed by anything, stuff like that. So I don't blame Khabib either. If
Conor comes back and like fights 2 guys, you know, he beats Poirier and he beats Diaz,
yeah,
then I could probably see a Conor Khabib too.
Yeah, that's long-term stuff. That's not now. I'm just talking about like in the short term, like what happens. So I think what you can do is you can, for the vacant title, you can make it Dustin Charles Oliveira, and then you have Michael Chandler face Justin Gaethje. Maybe do Tony Conor. That'll be fun. I would enjoy that.
That would be a fun fight.
That'll be fun.
Tony Conor.
It would be very, very interesting. It's very fun. but it might be too detrimental to both their careers after the fight if they lose. So if Conor loses, that's like where does he go after that? And then if Tony loses, like
he's done.
Yeah. According to Tony's been done for the last two fights now. Yeah. So, but maybe Conor versus, like, he's said that he's wanted to fight like guys like Al Iaquinta, Paul Felder, like those would be fun fights Sanchez. Too. And Diego Sanchez.
Yeah, he's been wanting that fight for a while now. Since the Cerrone press conference.
so we'll see. But right now, I think the fight to make a vacant title. That's assuming there's a vacant title. Dustin Charles Oliveira. That would be a fun fight. I think. Just early predictions. Dustin wins that.
How about Chandler and Gaethje? Who wins that?
I
feel like Gaethje personally.
Yeah, it's just Mike Chandler's he's such a better wrestler than Justin Gaethje. He might just cheese it out and like take him down and.
Conor McGregor's coach, John Kavanagh, would love him just to do MMA and avoid return to boxing.
So he said, quote?
Yes, he did actually. Sure. Just between us, yes. I would of course love him just to do MMA. I'm an MMA fanatic. I enjoy watching the odd boxing fight, but just the fact that I'm so involved in MMA, it seems so incomplete now. But I of course still have massive amount of admiration for them. I think that they're the toughest athletes in the world because I think wrestling does something to you endurance-wise, which is just sickening. Anybody who's done some hard wrestling rounds, it's that while being punched in the face. It's incredible what the guys do. That being said, I love MMA, and I love Conor doing MMA. That was his quote.
So what do you think?
What do I think about? I think he's saying that to basically scratch the Conor Manny. And after what happened recently, it would make sense. He lost to Poirier, and then if he goes out there and fights Manny, there's not enough hype right now. He needs at least this trilogy fight with either Poirier or Diaz. And I think he should focus on just MMA for now, because he's not doing too well. He lost to Floyd Mayweather, lost to Khabib.
That's not MMA.
Yeah, I know, but he lost. Yeah, but he lost to Khabib. He beat Cerrone, but we know who Cerrone is, right? And then he comes here and then he loses to Poirier.
No,
I think he's in a tough spot, man. I don't know what's next.
You're just using. You're just taking all the situations of his recent fights and you're just playing it towards this narrative that he's doing so bad. Like Don Cerrone is not like something to play with. Like it's not that easy just to go in there and beat Don Cerrone. Like Conor himself was able to do what he did because of the strategy that he used and the skills that he possesses. Like
it was at 170, right?
Yeah, I think so. So like you can't just play it off like that. I get it. He's on a slump right now where he lost to Dustin Poirier. However, maybe it's a mental thing. Maybe that John Kavanagh is saying like, okay, I know you're not in boxing right now, but don't even think about it. Just focus on MMA like completely. I don't want to see you doing boxing drills. Like actually, boxing drills is not bad for MMA. But maybe he's saying, like, focus more back into the MMA game, where you're constantly studying what's happening in MMA today. If you looked at the trends of what's happening in MMA today, maybe you would have better prepared for like calf kicks, for example. You wouldn't have such a wide base. Maybe he's saying that or not. He's his coach, like so. Like he should have been saying something about the game plan and the calf kicks. But maybe this is just like a mental thing where he's saying, I can tell as a coach, like he's talking about it, people are asking, and it's in his mind that boxing is a potential, especially against like these legends, like to go from Mayweather to Manny, like that's literally the top two in this generation of fighters, especially for like this like legendary status. Like Canelo is getting up there and Triple G is getting up there, but they're nothing compared to Manny and Mayweather's like prestige.
Canelo is. I don't know what Triple G. But
no, Canelo and Mayweather's legacy is completely different. It's different levels. Canelo and Manny Pacquiao's, it's completely different. Like Canelo is he's getting that Mexico, like the army of Mexico coming and helping him and pushing him to the top. However, it's not fully like realized yet. He's getting there, but he's nowhere near what Manny has or what Mayweather has today. Because Manny and Floyd could go out there and do like huge pay-per-view buys still. Not as much as their first one maybe, but they can do humongous numbers, and that's literally just because of their names, not even about their skill. Like Canelo, a lot of it has to do with his skill. Like his name is very, very big, but like we'll see what happens in the next 5-6 years.
He's the most paid athlete in the world, right? So
I think that deal fell through or something happened with the DAZN.
With Golden Boy and everything. Yeah, it's way too long to talk about, man. It goes deep.
So
with him and De La Hoya and everything.
Yeah. So he's deserving of that money. It's just there's difference between getting paid and just legacy and name value. Yeah. So Canelo has time to get up there, but back to Conor.
Back to Conor. Yeah.
Back to Conor. I don't think too much of this. Everything else from their camp was positive. I think it was just Styles matchup. It was just a game plan thing that just happens from time to time. Like it's not necessarily the one guy is better than the other. It's just that on that night they just had better game plans. If they were to fight again, it could go the complete other direction. That's why MMA is a little bit different, because there's so many different aspects to the game. There's so many different avenues that you can go through that it's very, very unpredictable.
Like stats wise though, if you count all competitions, in the last 4 fights he's 1-3. So
again, that's you're just I get it. But then if you look back even further, more fights back, then his win percentage goes up. So you're literally just looking for
recency bias, basically.
Yeah, you literally just took 4 fights from his whole career and said he's 1-3, and you add in boxing too, which is like, how's that even comparable? Right?
Well, hopefully he'll bounce back. Hopefully it's a good year for him. It's still only the first month, so maybe he'll probably fight 2 more times.
I would like to see him. I'd like to see him either fight Tony or fight someone like Paul Felder. That'll be interesting. Or
no Diaz fight?
No, I don't want to see Diaz fight. Like, let Diaz fight happen a different way. I don't want the Diaz fight to come off both of them losing. It's not just about like excitement. It's just let these guys be as sharp as possible. Let them have this confidence, this momentum, that this build up that both of them can have. Just to do it dry and have them both coming off losses, and it doesn't feel very big. It feels kind of like just a cash grab, like, okay, Diaz versus Conor, as opposed to you have Nate. There was a conversation of Nate fighting somebody, I forget, but Dana didn't reveal it.
George
who?
Jorge?
No, I don't know. No, there was another fight that he was talking about. He's like, oh, it was very interesting for Nate, or maybe that was for somebody else, I don't remember. But have Nate face somebody else, he wins, Conor faces somebody else, wins, and then you can do that fight. I'm in no rush. I want Conor to fight 3 times this year, because it's only January. He can fight again in April, May, and then again in October, November. It'll be fun. We'll see. He's not done. He's got a lot left in him. He's only 32, so like in MMA you can lose so many times. Like there's so many fighters that lose so much, but then they come back. Like Charles Oliveira. If you look at his record. You're just like, you think that this guy is like 37 years old, and he's just this guy that wins and loses all the time. But he's just on this crazy fight streak of like 8 wins now. So
him and Glover.
Yeah, and Glover as well. Glover is I think he's either 40 or is in his 40s now. But yeah. So there's this MMA is much different than say like boxing or any other sports. You can lose and have these slumps, but it doesn't take that much for you to come back. So Conor can come back, starch Paul Felder or El Iaquinta, and then face another top 5 guy, and then back in the game. By the end of the year, he can be back in the picture for a title, right? So I wish Connor had a little bit better performance with Dustin, but he's not completely done. You can still see the hunger in his voice, in his eyes, and in his aura, everything.
This one I'm very excited for. Movsar Evloev.
Say it again.
Movsar Evloev.
Say it again.
Movsar Evloev.
You've been practicing.
This guy, he fought against Lentz yesterday in the prelims. Man, what a fight! This guy is a high-level striker. He's only 26.
What weight class?
What weight class? I'll have to check that again.
145.
You have to. Let's say 140. Actually, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It was 145. But this guy has crazy angles, crazy striking. It was actually it was a pretty funny fight. What
was so funny?
So in the first two rounds with Lenz, he kept going for the guillotine over and over again. Each time he would go for a takedown, he would transition into a guillotine. And actually 2 times in the first round specifically, he almost got him. He almost got him tapped out. He cranked the neck so bad. I don't know how Evloev honestly, I don't know how he got out of it, but it just kept going and going. But what happened eventually is that he just started kept landing these strikes, and especially in the second and third round, he was putting in volume. If you actually watch
Max Holloway levels,
DC's reaction, it wasn't Max Holloway, but it was up there though. He was doing angle changes, he was doing crazy combos, and he was barely hit too. But if you watched, whose reaction was it? It was DC on the commentator booth, right? Mm-hmm. This guy was impressed. He was he's not at the Max Holloway level, but this guy was doing crazy combos and everything. Towards the end of the third round, I think especially, honestly, I thought he was gonna knock this guy out, but he stood in there. He it went the distance, but it was a hell of a fight. Did you watch it or no?
No, I didn't. I don't typically watch too much prelims. I pick and choose, just because there's so many fights these days, especially with the UFC. But DC loves his Russians, right?
DC loves the AKA team and his Russians.
Yeah, so this was a split decision win actually, for
okay,
him.
That was some BS though. If you ask anybody, if you ask Twitter or anything, it was a full 3 thing. A full 3 rounds to Evloev. Okay,
so let's break it down. So round 1, each landed 7 significant strikes out of 15. They both threw and missed and landed the same exact amount. Any takedowns? I don't know if they took each other down.
It was a lot of grappling that round.
So in the whole fight, there's only 3 takedowns. So in the first round, Nick Lentz actually got a submission attempt, but
twice.
but
with the guillotine choke.
But Movsar got a takedown in the first round. So you say he edged him out in the first round?
Yeah.
Okay. So it looks like he landed 37 strikes, but only 7 of them were significant. So he was outlanding Nick Lentz and he took him down. Okay, so we'll give him the first round. Second round was 20 significant strikes to 28. So Nick only landed 20 and then his opponent landed 28. His opponent had 34 total strikes. And he landed 1 takedown.
So 10-9 again.
He landed a takedown, but he got taken down as well. And then the last round was 47 significant strikes for Movsar, and Nick got 19. So
that was when the magic happened, man. If you watched it live, this guy was putting in the clinic.
So it looks like it should have been a 30-27. Maybe the first round would have been a little bit close, but even then, he was outstruck. Nick Lentz was outstruck and was controlled for a majority of the round. So it says in the first round, Nick Lentz was controlled for 3 minutes and 22 seconds of the fight. So yeah, maybe the judges were watching a different fight. It was actually
a pretty cool story too, when they're talking about both fighters.
Yeah.
So with Nick Lentz, he's actually a full-time stock investor.
Yeah.
So he's like a day trader. And then Evloev, he's in university for law and computer science. So both these guys are pretty well balanced. But yeah, it was a good fight. I want to see more of Evloev.
Yeah.
At 145.
He's undefeated.
He's undefeated, and he's only 26, so he's a prospect. So I think he has a good future ahead of him.
But
I think
do you think he can beat Islam Makhachev?
Islam Makhachev? No way, because Islam's at 155.
So he can move up.
If he moves up, man, I don't. Honestly, listen. Honestly, if that fight happened, in terms of like just pure striking, I'm going with Evloev. Evloev is high level striking, bro. If you watch that fight, it was like very impressive.
So,
but with wrestling, no.
Okay, so let's think of a real matchup. How does he match up with Korean Zombie?
Korean Zombie?
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, why Korean Zombie?
Because he would be like a fighter that would potentially catapult him to like the top 5, but it might be too early for top 5. So somebody like. Who else is at 145? That you
no thing. Let's do Korean Zombie.
Yeah.
Let's do Korean Zombie.
That might be
so
too
with the
fast.
Fight with
though.
him and I know, but like for example with him and Ortega.
Yeah.
Like you saw the way that like he got like completely just outclassed on the feet, right? I think that if you compare the striking Ortega and Evloev. I mean, I'm not going to compare it yet, right? But let's say, like, in a few years, I'm going to do it anyways, right? But if you compare his striking, Evloev, he just has so many of these ankle changes.
Yeah.
So many ankle and he was barely hit sometimes too. He was using more of like it was weird. He was fighting like a Philly shell almost. Like he was outboxing. So it was cool. But I think him versus Korean Zombie.
Korean Zombie is a little too high. He's ranked 5th. Currently in featherweight, so let's give him Shane Burgos. That would be a good matchup, or Dan Ig, one of those guys. Those are 11 and 12 ranked. Ryan Hall, I think maybe stay away from Ryan Hall because he's a high level grappler. His leg locks are well known around the world. So and then
he has a wrestling base though.
And then you have but I don't like Ryan Hall's one of those guys that you just don't want to fight just because he's so nonchalant. Like he looks very lazy in his fighting style, but then he'll catch you in these leg locks that you like. It taps out majority of his guys, his opponents when he puts them on, when he actually gets a hold of his opponent. So I would say maybe Shane Burgos, Dan Ig, maybe Josh Emmett might be asking too much, but. One of those guys.
Max Holloway.
Bryce Mitchell is also an up-and-coming guy. I would stay away from Bryce Mitchell, Edson Barbosa, Ryan Hall. Those three, stay away from those guys. It looks like those 3 guys will make their way up to the top 10 eventually. So maybe ease this guy in, ease our boy in, and he'll make his way up. You especially want to keep his undefeated streak. So don't match him against Zabit because Zabit is
Zabit Magomed Sharapov.
Zabit is out here taking no losses as well. So we'll see.
Umair Nurmagomedov. This guy, we've been talking about him for almost 4 weeks now, and to my mistake, I actually confused him with Usman. So I was making like a training video.
Oh yeah.
And then halfway through, I realized that I was doing it for Usman instead of Umair. So I always uploaded it.
Umair is
this guy is like
Khabib,
he's a good fighter. I think he's a cousin of Khabib.
Yeah, he's baby Khabib. He looks like a mini version of Khabib. He fights at bantamweight, I believe, 135. Yeah. So he's very good on the feet. He has very high level grappling. He pretty much has a complete game, with as much as you want in MMA. So you have a very good wrestling base. He trains with the AKA. I don't know how much he does because I've seen videos of him at the AKA gym with Khabib and DC and Islam and all those guys, but you don't see him too often. So maybe he goes back and forth, but he has a very good wrestling base. So he's able to grapple with the best of the fighters in the 135 division. He knows he has a sambo base, so that means like jiu-jitsu. He can take your back. He can choke you out, all that kind of stuff. But what's surprising is that he's very good on the feet. He's very, very bouncy. So he's very, very active. Something that you don't typically see too much from like these Russian guys.
Well, like he's a 135er though, so like he should be bouncy.
Yeah. But the Russian guys is usually like, I don't know how to explain it. Maybe like Khabib is kind of
They're
bouncy
very
as well.
flat-footed, right?
Yeah, Khabib is kind of
really
bouncy as well, where he hops around and he uses like his hops to take down people and use that as like momentum, or use that as like a place so that he can throw leg kicks and high kicks. He throws a lot more kicks than I would have expected previously. Like just by looking at him, I wouldn't think that he was goddamn Cobra Kai out there. He's throwing he's throwing all these high kicks and stuff. He was a little bit overzealous. Like he saw his opportunity to finish the fight, especially with the grappling aspect, but he looked like he was going for it too fast. Like he was it's expected because he's like very new in the UFC. He's excited, all that kind of stuff. It'll come with time where he's more patient. He takes his time with
his debut, right?
This is his debut. His debut was supposed to be before too, but then it fell through because.
But how come?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But there's a rumor though that I think I heard from either the comments or it was from you that's saying that the fight was off.
No,
but of course it wasn't off. So it actually happened. But
no, I didn't say that. No, his fight fell through previously. His debut was canceled. Back when I think it was the same issue with Islam where they all got sick. All these Dagestani guys got sick because there was something going around. Then Khabib got sick too. No, it was something else. So he was supposed to make his debut previously, but then he got ill, and then now he made his final debut. So he has potential to make some noise in the 135 division. There's a lot of fighters at 135, but after a certain point it kind of drops off. So you have the champions, what's his name? Peter Yan, yeah. Aljamain Sterling, you have Corey Sandhagen, you have Dominic Cruz, TJ Dillashaw, but after that it kind of gets like a little foggy down there. So Umair has a chance. Take the Khabib approach, take the Islam approach where you're slowly given specific matchups, and he has a potential to make some noise. Maybe end of next year, maybe 2023 he should be in like the title pictures, but let him get in the octagon, get into the UFC big times. He was fighting in other promotions previously, but now he's made the move to the UFC, and I think Khabib will be closely monitoring and helping him on his journey. So Khabib,
and translating for him too.
Yeah. So I think Khabib is very involved with Umair. So I think he'll tell Umair, like, listen, you gotta learn English. Like you gotta improve your English.
Did you watch the interview? Where he went in for him?
Yeah.
And translated for him?
Yeah. So Umair has a lot of star potential. He has all the tools. He's basically doesn't have too many holes in his game. So he's not the best striker, he's not the best grappler, he's not the best whatever it may be, but he's able to do it all. So he's not going to be exposed. He's not going to be taken down and held down. He's not going to be completely outstruck on the feet. He's able to hold his own. So it's just a matter of him taking those and just excelling and learning and getting better and moving up to that top 10, the top 5, and hopefully maybe we'll see him in title fights.
And did you see a comparison with Khabib and Umair, where in their first fight in the UFC they both won by the rear naked choke?
Yeah, rear naked choke
on the same day as well.
Rear naked choke, yeah, it's very poetic. So rear naked choke is so much more common in the lower levels of MMA fights, just because it's such an easy technique to get when the guy's tired and you have his back and stuff like that. It's like, I think it's the most common submission, the rear naked choke. So especially when you're considering who he grapples with, Umair grapples with and fights with and trains with, Like if he saw a chance to get a rear naked choke, he's gonna go for it. So
he's going for that.
yeah, so very 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 good for him. He got the back very easily. So he was able to get his opponent's back. It was just his over like zealousness. I don't even know what that. I don't think that's even a word, but it was his
It's a word.
overzealousness that made him lose his position and made the fight go longer than it should have. So he'll be more patient, and you'll see him. He'll make some noise.